You can create something called a text style in your file. It's a shortcut for saving the formatting for your text in your file. And so that way you can work faster and your fonts are going to be more consistent across your file if you work this way. Before we create our text style, I do want to come over here to the attributes palette. Whatever the selections are over here in the attributes for both the fill and the pen, these new text styles will reflect those choices. And so I'm going to go ahead and change my fill style to none, and then a black solid line for my pen is good. So now I'm ready to start. I'll come over here to the text menu and then go to Format Text. And then this dialog box opens up and I can pick fonts. I can choose my font size, my spacing, any special font styles that I'd like to add. I can pick the horizontal alignment of the text. I can also pick the vertical alignment of the text. And so far everything is looking good, so I'm going to leave it as it's currently set. The last step that you need to do though is come up here to the section that says Style and click Save. And I am going to name this SK Labels Text Style. Then click OK, and then click OK one more time. And let's walk through that again because I'm going to make a separate text style for the callout tool too. So same steps as before, text menu, format text. Then I'm going to need to come up here and go to unstyled so that I can make changes and save it again. Also, if you just start changing these fields, it would have automatically changed that to unstyle. So for size, I'm going to go ahead and make this 10 points. And that's really the only change that I'm going to make for my callouts. Don't forget to go back up here and hit save again. And then we will call this SK Callout Text Style. Click OK up here first, and then click OK again down there. And now you'll notice with the text tool selected, when we come over here to the mode bar, there's this section for text style, and we have this drop-down menu right here. And now those two text styles that I just created are available right here. So before we even start typing new text styles, what I would like to do is just select all of the text that's already in my file and make it consistent. And so I'm going to come over here and grab the Select Similar tool. Just make sure that I'm selecting for object type, so it's going to select any text. Then click OK, and then click on one of those text blocks, and then it will select all of the text blocks in your file. Then I can come over here to the Object Info palette. I have this option down here for text style, so I can just click that drop-down menu and then come over here and pick my SK Labels text style. And then everything in my file is going to be consistent. So let's just move this one back over into the planting area. It doesn't change the rotation. If I want to change that, I can just come up here into the Object Info palette and change the rotation here in this field. Just change that to 0. And now everything is much more consistent. So if I don't like something about my text style, I can make changes to it. To do that, I'm going to go into the Resource Manager, so Control or Command R. And then those two resources, those two text styles are available here. So let's go ahead and make a change to the SK Labels. So I'm just right-clicking to open up the context menu and then selecting Edit. Once there, let's go ahead and change this so it's larger. Let's do 14 points instead. And then let's go ahead and for horizontal alignment, let's do center. And then click OK. And now it automatically changed all of the text blocks that have that text style associated with it in the file. Text styles are really helpful because if you need to make a change across the file for consistency, it'll just do it in one click. And I just want to go back and reiterate up here for the text tool in the mode bar, we can go ahead and we can select the text style before we ever start typing. And that way that text style will automatically be associated with that text object. So right now, this text style has a black pen associated with it with no fill. I can always come here in the Resource Manager, right-click for the context menu and edit that style. And now I have this section down here for color, both text and background. So I can go ahead and maybe make my text red here. Click OK. But you can also overwrite the text style just by selecting the text blocks that you want to change and then coming here in the Object Info palette and then changing that back to black. Now what happened over here in the Object Info palette was that the field for text style changed from SK labels to unstyled. So if I go back to SK labels, it's going to go back to that red text. So you can always overwrite, but you should know that you're no longer working with that text style for that specific object. So I'm going to go ahead and come back here and just make that text black again. And then I'm going to add a few more labels into my drawing. So this will be for ornamental grass. And I accidentally picked the SK callout text style instead of the SK label text style. So I can just come over here in the Object Info palette, swap those out real quickly, and then for my next label, come over here to the mode bar for the text tool and make that change here. And I can always reposition my text blocks just by clicking and dragging. So when you click, make sure that you're getting that compass, which means that you're going to move the object rather than you're going to get the two arrows on the diagonal if you've clicked on a handle, and that's just going to resize the text block.